The time has come for me to talk about one of the more hated characters in the MLP universe. That's right, none other than Flash waifu stealer Sentry. Lots of people criticize Flash for being a totally unnecessary part of the first movie. I mean, he was just a love interest for the sake of there being a love interest, but in this case, there might be more here than meets the eyes. In the first Equestria Girls movie, Sunset Shimmer went through the portal and stole Twilight's crown, and I have to say, that robbery was pretty well planned out. She knew exactly what room to go in. Sunset was so prepared she even had an exact replica of Twilight's crown. But this raises some questions. How did she know that Twilight and her crown would be there? In fact, how did she even know that there was a fourth princess in the first place? The events of Equestria Girls happened smack dab after Magical Mystery Cure. Somehow, Sunset Shimmer was staying up to date with everything going on in Equestria. She must have known about even recent events, such as Twilight becoming a princess, but how? Well, there are a few possibilities. There may have been some form of communication connecting the worlds, you know, like Sunset's book. But the book itself hadn't been used since Sunset was Celestia's student. There's really no evidence for or against a similar method of communication being used, so I'm ruling out that possibility altogether. I find it much more likely that the mirror was involved. Maybe she had been through the portal several times in the past and visits Equestria frequently. However, given the mirror's location and distance from Canterlot, I don't think this is the case. Now how about this? Instead of someone going into Equestria to gather information, what if someone from Equestria went into the human world and gave information? The Crystal Empire's castle is very well protected, so this would have to be an inside job. Say, a guard working the night shift could easily sneak through the portal and be back before morning. And you know I'm not talking about any random guard. Oh no. I think it was Flash Sentry. He helped Sunset Shimmer stay up to date with events in Equestria. For further evidence, let's look at the timeline. According to Luna, the mirror used to be located in the throne room of the Canterlot Castle, but when Cadence took over the Crystal Empire, they moved it there for safekeeping. So the mirror had only recently been moved to its current location. Okay, now let's look at Flash Sentry. His presence as a royal guard is somewhat contrived. Just look at his design. He's the only member of the guard who doesn't have the default crystal look. Kinda suspicious, especially when you consider the fact that he's new.
Who is that? He's a new member of the Castle Guard. Flash Sentry, I think.
So the mirror is moved to the Crystal Castle, and all of a sudden this new recruit shows up. Not too long after, Sunset Shimmer makes her well-planned move. The timing is perfect. And if you watch that scene again, you'll notice Sunset knew exactly what room Twilight was staying in, and she also knew when Twilight Summit was taking place. These are all things the Crystal Empire's Royal Guard would need to know, when and where a princess would be. Someone had to have told her this, and I think Flash Sentry is our most likely candidate. So, if my theory is true, does that make him a traitor? Not necessarily, maybe he didn't have bad intentions. Perhaps Sunset Shimmer was misleading him into thinking he was actually helping. I wouldn't put it past old Sunset to use someone in that way. But intentionally or not, I think Flash was involved with stealing more than just your waifu. Based on this theory, I would say Sunset Shimmer and Flash Sentry met by the horse statue every 30 moons and talked equestrian news. Now think about what this would look like to an outsider. Nothing would be even slightly suspicious. Why? Remember, Sunset and Human Flash were an item in that world, so to anyone else it would just look like an innocent date. We know the breakup happened a few weeks before Twilight arrived, but while it lasted, it would have made for a great cover-up. In Rainbow Rock, Sunset Shimmer explained how she only dated Flash Sentry, in order to gain popularity. But keep in mind that all of this was with the long-term goal of taking over Equestria. So all in all, I'd say this theory is definitely a possibility. But what do you guys think? Did Flash Sentry keep Sunset Shimmer up to date with events in Equestria? Is that how she knew all the details required to steal the crown? Let me know what you think in the comments. Bad news, guys. I'm going out of town and I won't be able to post a video next week. But don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the Q&A or the collab, which may or may not be with a certain German Brony YouTuber. Although I'm not posting next week, I will be working on those things. Thank you all so much for your patience. This is the Brony Notion, signing out until next time. Brohoof.